Well, it's a bit more challenging with the political lobbying that we have in this country, but we are making progress, as you mentioned. And the other point to validate your issue is the effectiveness of this type of strategy is the progress we've made and seen with high fructose corn syrup. Just recently, within the last few weeks, there's been major corporations who are actually taking high fructose corn syrup out of their products and highly promoting it only because of the significant public awareness and pressure that this is something dangerous and that should be avoided. Now, they're replacing it with regular cane sugar, which is certainly a step in the right direction, but something that still should be avoided in large quantities, of course. So. But it does show that the strategy works, which is the key thing.
And I want to say that America owes you a great debt of gratitude for that, because I know you've been at the forefront of alerting consumers about the dangers, guiding them into healthier products without the high fructose corn syrup. So I think that your work here in this issue may have saved so many lives and so many people from getting diabetes and other problems. So thank you and congratulations.
Well, you're welcome. Yeah, it's definitely a passion, as is with eliminating GMO foods from this country, and it's a doable, achievable goal. I mean, this is not some type of idle fantasy to think, God, wouldn't the world be nice if we could do this? We can do it. We know we can do it. We just have to collaborate and work together as a team. So I have a few questions. Since this was an animal study, I had heard, and maybe you can validate or dispute this, but if animals are offered the option of two food sources, one genetically modified food like corn or soy, and one that's not, will they routinely and consistently avoid the genetically modified food, or is that just a myth?
It's not just a myth. In fact, we have eyewitness reports from scientists, farmers, reporters, and the public over and over again that when given the choice, a whole slew of different species will avoid GMOs. Now, I interviewed one of the first people to do this experiment, Howard Vlieger from Iowa, and he was growing GM versus non-GM on his property to compare the two. And then he decided to put one half of the feed bunk with GM corn and the other half with non-GM corn. He let his cows into the paddock, and they all gathered around the non-GM corn, ate it completely, and then walked away from the GM corn. And so he started telling others, and then about 5 or 7 or 8 farmers did this experiment for 2 years, where they let 2 or 3 pigs or cows into the area where there was a trough of GM corn right in front of them and a non-GM trough a little bit further away. And the animals would come and they'd sniff, maybe taste the genetically modified variety, and then they'd look over and see another trough, and then they'd go and they'd finish that off completely. They'd go back to the original trough and look at it, maybe smell it, and then walk away. We know that one reporter saw an entire flock of geese only eating off of the side of a soy field that was non-GMO. We know that the scientists that created the Flavor Saver tomato that was genetically engineered and approved in 1994, fortunately it's no longer on the market, they said that the rats refused to eat the tomato. There was a guy that took squirrels, and he took corn on the cob and put one corn that was genetically modified on one tree and non-GM on the other, and always the squirrels would only eat the non-GM corn. So he decided to just leave the GM corn out for the coldest 10 days of winter in Iowa, and they completely refused to touch it. Eventually they just nibbled like a couple of kernels, and then that was it. So he felt sorry for them and then put up the non-GM kernels, and it was gone the next day. And I know someone that heard about that and decided they wanted to repeat the experiment. So they bought a bag of GM corn and non-GM corn and put both bags in their garage to wait for the winter. But when they went to the garage to collect the bags, they realized the mice had done the experiments for them because they had broken into the non-GM corn and eaten all the kernels and never touched the GM corn. And it goes on to chickens and raccoons and elk and deer and rats as well. And we have the buffalo in India, where they say that most of the buffalo refuse to eat the cottonseed cake from the genetically modified cotton, but those that do, most of them have reproductive problems, and many of them die, and their children die. So somehow the animals have a sense that we don't have, so we need to raise our humans up to the level of animals.
Well, thank you so much for that elaborate and comprehensive proof and documentation of what is clearly an obvious and major clue. As you mentioned, most of us just are not in touch with our feelings and our feedback when it comes to these foods, and we just don't have the sensory capacity or just are out of the biological logic to distinguish the difference. Yet what appears to be, from what you mentioned, the entire animal kingdom, when given the choice between a genetically modified food and one that's not, will consistently and regularly, almost to the point of killing themselves in starvation, choose the food that is non-genetically modified. So that is just an enormous, amazing, incredible clue and documentation that we need to make similar choices. And I would encourage everyone listening to use that as the major inspiration to go out and make a difference. You can make a difference. We've said that we already are doing it for the high fructose corn syrup and are making progress in these other areas. So clearly the single most important thing you can do now is to get this guide that Jeffrey has put together and to understand what the foods are, share it with your friends and family, have them make their economic vote by avoiding these foods. And when enough people make this vote, when we reach the tipping point, it's not a lot of people, it's only perhaps 5%, industry will respond and they will avoid this. They don't have, they're not, it's not some type of evil conspiracy that they want to depopulate the planet. They're only doing it for economic means. And if they can be shown economically that it's not to their long-term advantage, they will make that positive choice for your health. And not only your health, but more importantly, as we've identified, the health of the future generations, which is really going to be the most significantly impacted. So, Jeffrey, how can they get access to your guide?
Well, go to non-GMOshoppingguide.com, non-GMOshoppingguide.com, and it's available online. We also have an iPhone application, which you go to the iTunes store, and for free you can download Shop No GMO, all one word, Shop No GMO. And we have, from their website, you can order guides to give out to friends. You can download a 2-page guide. You can simply look at it online and choose your brands from there. And from there you can click over to our other site, responsibletechnology.org, and get tools to help spread the word to accelerate the tipping point. We have free online videos, free online podcasts. We have articles that you can read or reproduce on your own websites and print out and put it and publish. And we have all sorts of materials that take the information about the health risks and the cover-up and the hijacked regulatory agencies and how to avoid GMOs and protect yourself and how to get the information out to health-conscious shoppers, healthcare practitioners, parents of young children, green groups, religious organizations, all those that are most receptive. We have enough people on our side who are receptive to this message so we can eliminate GMOs from the supermarkets without ever having to try and convince someone who's resistant. Because most Americans say they'd avoid GMOs if given the choice, and now we can give them the choice.
Absolutely. It's just thank you for all your efforts, and appreciate all you're doing to provide us with the tools to achieve this important goal. Just a personal curiosity, you mentioned the iPhone application. It clearly is one of the hottest tech gadgets out there, but what appears to be following very closely behind is the Android operating system from Google. So I'm wondering if your developers have developed an application for the Android.
We would like to. See, our nonprofit functions on donations, and when someone donated the time to create the iPhone application, and we haven't found anyone to donate the time to create the Droid application.
Let's make this a call. So this interview is going out to hundreds of thousands of people, and we'll listen to this. And if you or anyone listening to this knows a competent Android developer, how can they get in contact with your organizations that they can develop this?
Well, just contact us at info@responsibletechnology.org. And likewise, if people would like to make donations, we would accept that, and then we can actually pay someone to do it. But right now, we're just, as you know, with the economic downturn, a lot of nonprofits have gotten smashed, and we're not out of that boat. So we're treading like crazy to keep water.
All right. Well, thanks for all you do, Jeffrey, and I think we've given them our listeners a good start as to how they can go and make a difference. So definitely download that application and share it with your friends and family.